I got goals to chase, I got roads to pave. Not yet where I wanna be, but I got close today. I went ghost today, I got least to say. I be focused on these dreams like I didn't sleep today.
Hey guys. Hey Alex. Hey David.
Hey Gary.
Hi guys. So
Hey David.
we're in a new studio here.
Yeah.
You guys see us in a new studio. Shop Talk 2.0 revamped. We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast, and listen, this will get cut up, and we've got multiple cameras here. This will get cut up into a lot of different pieces of content.
How many we got here?
Three.
Three, four. Yeah, four.
3 cameras, 3 mics.
That's it.
With 2 fans in the audience.
There you go.
But I think that traditionally, when we all consume content, I think all of us consume content. I don't think there's anybody today that doesn't consume content in some fashion. But specifically with sports card content, I think a lot of it has always been or currently is present day news. Here's the headline, here's the opinion on the headline, and move on. And I think what we're trying to do here is essentially do an incredibly raw, incredibly genuine riff on our opinion, our insight, our feelings and emotions about the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly of what it is to be in the sports card business. Granted, we're collectors, we're hobbyists, but ultimately and truly, Relikks is a business. There is a business side to what we're trying to accomplish here. And I think the purpose of this is to give fans, hobbyists, people that follow us, a sort of little behind the curtain look at our noggins, our minds, and how we approach a lot of these subjects.
Yeah. No, we're excited to kick this off. We think we're going to have some amazing guests be joining us, and they're some high-end collectors, some influencers in the industry, and I think everyone's going to provide some good insight into their what they've got in their noggins as well.
Their journey, yeah.
You guys love content.
This
is the content.
Content
for
is
the
king.
squad.
Content
This is
king.
the content for the squad.
That's it.
I think the first thing I'd really like to talk about, this is like very current events, just got like all over the news yesterday. Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore. By the way, Relikks has Happy Gilmore Funkos in the shop, so come see us. Happy Gilmore, Mr. Adam Sandler, potentially going to be doing a movie about high-end sports cards.
Yeah.
First question I have for the boys: who is making cameos? Who's the must-see cameos in the Adam Sandler high-end sports card movie?
Are we talking current actors, or are we talking
No,
hobby
cameos,
people?
cameos, like industry people.
Oh, there's
have
gonna
to be.
There's LeBron's gonna be in there.
LeBron's
gonna be.
Good luck. I was thinking Gretzky.
No, I don't think it's. I don't
You don't
think
think-
He's not even an athlete.
Are you talking
No.
about like a hobby guy,
Ken
like
Golden?
Burb?
it's got to be
Ooh,
like the
Golden-
Goldens, the
Golden's gonna be there.
Shines.
Ken Golden.
Yeah, Golden.
Drake, you got to think Drake's gonna be in there.
Nah, he's not showing up.
Really?
He's a flawless
He was a
guy
blip.
now.
You think he was a blip in the like sports card world?
Did he pay for those boxes?
That's a great question.
Did he pay for those?
No.
Because the flawless market went up like crazy. Right? And
Came back to earth.
Yeah.
he was ripping here in Toronto at
at a restaurant, wasn't he? At
Harbor
a
60.
Harbor 60 private
in
room,
his
yeah.
private room. Yeah.
With Ken.
With Ken. Ken was here too.
Ken
Flew
flew
out
in.
on a private jet.
And Cartborn.
So I mean, I think part of the reason that you have the interest now of like movie producers and the Adam Sandlers of the world is the fact that like you have these like crazy, albeit let's call it like a 3-day, 1-week thing that like the Drake situation did that was causing all these insane headlines, so many more eyeballs, the triple logo man chase of LeBron that was happening. It really, I think, shines a light onto this industry that I think a lot of people are amazed at. When I talk to people, one of the things that I think amazes people the most is the fact that sports cards that are printed today, so modern day sports cards, get 7-figure sales prices all the time. When people think of like crazy like sales prices, they think of the Mickey Mantles, the Babe Ruth, the crazy vintage stuff. But when I tell people a piece of cardboard that got manufactured somewhere 3 weeks ago was pulled out of a box of cardboard and somebody paid $1.3 million for it. Yeah. I think that amazes people.
Some are stupid. Some don't deserve those 7 figures, but
But the money's there.
But it happens, right? So there's always a buyer. There's somebody pays for it. It's what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, like art, right? It's like, what's the value of something? It's what someone's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
But I think that now that, these Drake situations are happening and, potentially the Adam Sandler movie is happening, and it's very specific that they're saying it's the high end sports cards,
Yeah.
right? It's going to shine a light onto what I think a lot of us always wonder. One thing I always wonder is like, who the fuck is paying
Who's actually buying?
for this stuff?
Listen, or are you talking about the cards?
The cards.
Well, I was gonna just say about Adam Sandler.
No,
his last 2 sports movies were fantastic.
Fantastic, 100%.
Hidden Gem and
That wasn't a sports
Hustle.
movie. Yeah, it was actually. It was. He was a better. It was a better. Yeah,
It
you're
was
right.
a lot of sports betting. There was a lot of sports athletes.
You're right,
there,
you're right.
Like
I take that
KG.
back.
And what was the other one? Hustle. With
Bo
with
Cruz.
with Bo Cruz.
The Toronto
Our
Raptors'
own
very
Raptor,
own.
right? So, just about the movie, it's probably gonna be fire.
It's going to be amazing.
Probably gonna be.
It's going to be
fantastic,
amazing.
right? So, back
Well,
to who's buying the cards.
Who's buying the cards?
I don't know.
And listen,
I'd
sometimes
like to meet him.
Is it individuals?
It is
Is it
individuals.
companies?
There
Their
are
institutional money is buying is buying them. There's the companies that are buying these and then giving them out, selling them for fractional
Mm-hmm,
shares, which is a whole other business and whole other thing that people
Whole other
like or
racket, yeah.
dislike, right? But
But Alt,
Those
like
are
for example, Alt, the platform started as a fund,
Yep.
right? It's a private equity fund that started just acquiring a portfolio of assets, and now it's people. I mean, sometimes these people will make themselves known for different reasons. There's a big insurance guy out of Florida that I know bought the big Luca card. And sometimes people will just like do it for the fame side of it, right? Shine will do this frequently.
Yeah.
When a big sale happens and he's the guy that bought it, he'll make sure the world knows
let
that
him
he's
know.
the guy that bought it.
it's part of his
shtick,
right?
yeah.
Like it's it's his business too, right?
Yeah,
So
it's his
that's,
business too. But a lot of these cards get bought and go into the hands of truly private collectors,
Yeah.
and you'll never really know. So I think that's going to be really interesting. The second element of it is like we all saw what the Formula One Netflix show did to the Formula One sport, right? It got crazy attention. Do we think that if this movie actually happens, you'll see a rush of people getting into sports cards?
I think, listen, we've been doing this for a long enough time, like even in the short period of, the ups and the downs, it's been happening. We'll have a period of 3 months where sports cards are everything. We'll have the quiet summer months, right? So it'll definitely bring more eyeballs, more attention. For how long?
Sure.
It's always for how long, but no doubt, some new eyeballs.
It's like the Formula One trend. Like when Formula One last year, the prices were super high because there's so much attention, so many people coming in. But like now, it's really cooled off, and the prices have really kind of come back to earth. So I think it might be the same thing where you'll have that little influx temporarily, but then once the hype kind of dies down, it might cool down a bit.
Sure.
But I think the high-end market, there's always going to be that high-end market.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about high end. High end is a different marketplace.
That's what once again, we've been in this long enough that we've seen that base rookies, people don't care about anymore, right? Kids don't care about. Kids are literally throwing them into our free bins. So it's just going more high end. People want patches. People don't even want sticker autos anymore, right? Like kids don't even want sticker autos anymore. They
listen to our show.
They only want on card autos, right? So people don't want patches that aren't game worn. People are getting more, and it's just kind of trending towards that more high end type of card. Right?
The industry is getting smarter.
Yeah.
Totally.
People are getting a lot more smarter. They're a lot more like prices, a lot more sales are happening, and there's a lot more to kind of look at and judge. Is this the way to go?
Yeah.
And
I think on the topic of sales, this is a really interesting thing, and we've discussed this internally offline recently, is that when we're looking at cards, when we're comping cards, when we're buying cards, part of the art of this business is understanding trajectories. And
Malfunction, guys. First time. It's okay.
I thought I fixed it.
That's okay. We're on camera.
okay.
We're doing this.
We're live cutting here.
Make sure you even keep that in, Chris. Make
Hold on.
sure you
Is it
keep
gonna
it
work?
in.
That's crazy. I don't know how to
There you
fix
go.
that. Anyway, I'll have
Every 30 seconds.
All right. So when we're pricing stuff, when we're buying stuff, when we're selling stuff, I think part of the art of this industry is understanding trajectories. And I think one of the most difficult things to do, even for an experienced shop like ours, is understanding that when we're taking stuff in, whether we're buying it as like a collection or we're buying a single sale, what's true today may not be true tomorrow and may definitely not be true in 2 weeks. And sometimes it works in our favor. And sometimes it doesn't, right? So like, I think one question that I always ask myself, and I don't think there's a perfect answer or a science to this, but it's like, how do you hedge? How do you protect yourself from making the buy, even if you think you're making a great buy at 70% of comps or 80% of comps or 60% of comps? How do you hedge yourself from protecting the trajectory? Because it may be weeks down the line until you're able to offload that card. And if the trajectory is going against your favor, when do you sell? How do you protect yourself?
Yeah, no, it's like you said, there's no right answer, right? You kind of, the good thing about being a hobby shop, and we even tell this to our customers, right? Like, we have a good pulse. Like, David, you have a fantastic pulse of what people want, right? Day in, day out, right? Like, not being in a shop, yeah, you could be in the Facebook groups, but when you're on the front lines and you're in, talking to everybody who's coming in and sending you DMs, hey, do you have this card? Do you have that card? You got a pretty good feel of what the market wants, at least locally, right? Like, what the market wants on a day in, day out basis, and where that kind of is heading on a...
It's like each person has a portfolio.
Yeah.
Like a personal portfolio of who they like, who they want.
Yeah. And do you find that certain portfolios are like, there's certain names that are just very commonly being added to portfolios these days? Like, I see Scotty, I know Scotty's
Scotty.
like all over the place now. He's an ROI and he's a Raptor, but does he deserve that?
It's a very hype thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. If one person's collecting this, we should all collect this. Like, this is the play. A lot of people, I say this in the shop a lot, but people always are coming to me for the answers.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the answers. I might have an idea,
Sure,
but I don't have the answer.
Sure.
And that, that goes back to the individual person. It's, you got to kind of figure out what do you want to do, because it's very easy to get lost in the sauce. It's very easy to have everybody say, collect Scotty, buy Scotty. You buy, 100 Scotties, and then it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Right? So
rips his ACL, and then what are you doing?
it's tough. It's
Raps are looking good, though.
Raps are looking good. They almost beat the Nets. But I think along the point of Scotty and a lot of other guys, like we see like Herbert, like the Herbert Black Vinyl went for $1.2 million. It's crazy to me. Another crazy aspect of this industry to me, and I think, we've spoken about this before, an element of it is that a lot of the collector base is new. Yeah. They're only entering the industry today, and along with their entrance into the industry, they're, putting their favorite players of today into their portfolios, so the demand for those players is there. But when you look at guys that have never won a ring, that have never won a scoring title, that have never really proven longevity in their respective position or sport, sell for insane amounts of money relative to the GOATs that have done like crazy things. Like I always say, look at Drew Brees, look at Peyton Manning, look at Aaron Rodgers, and compare those guys to Herberts or Burrow or it's like, what is going on?
People love buying what's new, what's hot, what's potentially going to increase in value, the hype, right? Because when you're buying a Breeze, a Rodgers, a Brady, very safe.
Sure,
you kind of know the market.
You know what it is, right? Like,
stable,
very safe, very stable. Nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
right? Like, if that's your game, like if you're buying the GOATs, the vintage, anything like that, great, amazing. But people love what's new and shiny and what the new rookie class is, right? So that's why there's always a market, right? Like even Kenny Pickett right now, right? He's in. People still want to chase Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, these guys, right? Because they're the new QB rookies, right? So
and Scotty Barnes along those lines, right? Like he's great, he's rookie of the year, and he's a great player, but like, who knows if he'll ever be like the Giannis or even Giannis himself. Like, listen, he finally got a ring, but like the legacy still isn't cemented in my opinion.
No,
but
I disagree. Giannis's
legacy is cemented.
Giannis is Let's you know what? Let's talk about this. Giannis is better than Kevin Garnett.
Oh yeah, totally.
And where's Giannis is?
But look at a Kevin Garnett rookie card.
Giannis is maybe better than Tim Duncan. And
look at a Tim Duncan rookie card.
Separate from rookie.
But I think it's also like with the different prints and stuff, right? Like there were the cards that were there for Duncan,
Sure.
like are nowhere near like 1 of 1 or.
Sure.
Giannis might be the best power forward.
I was
of all
literally
time.
about to say that.
I would
Giannis
probably,
might be the best power forward of all time. Thinking about it, right? Like,
Sure.
he's right there.
But if you look, so for example, let's take Giannis as like this example, and this is another thing I find myself saying all the time, is that the value of a sport card, you would think, has complete direct correlation to the performance of the athlete. And if you look at Kevin Garnett, if you look at Tim Duncan, like look at the stat lines on those guys, it's fucking insane. MVPs, titles. But the value of a sport card is a combination of the performance of the athlete and the sport card fan base of that athlete.
The
right?
market they play in, and everything.
All of that.
The personality,
Yes,
right? Like,
yes.
and the market, I guess he plays in Milwaukee, so that doesn't help. I mean, if he was in New York, it would help him a lot.
I think the perfect athlete to compare it to is you look at a guy like Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
I think Kawhi Leonard is a top 10 player in the NBA.
Sure.
Like, for sure. And, boring. Like, he's not really outspoken. Nobody really bats an eye to him, but he's still, considered one of the greatest. But if you look at his, like, rookie cards, guy has a chance to get a ring on a third team. There's not a lot of players that have done that.
He's got
third
three
different,
already, right?
but two different.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to get it on a third different
team,
team. That's, Clippers are a really strong team. They have a good chance to do
Does
it
he have
this
3
year.
or 2?
I think
Two with
the
San
Spurs.
Antonio,
Two
one
in
with,
San Antonio, one here, so
Toronto.
he's got 3. Yeah,
One in Toronto.
Yeah.
And listen, I think winning a ring in Toronto did wonders for his sport card value.
Huge.
Because Toronto has a big sport card market, and especially Raptor-based Kawhi cards get great value.
Yeah.
Because of what he did for Toronto. Who knows when we'll ever see a ring again in this city as an NBA team. Let's shift gears a little bit. There's one other thing that's always on my mind recently, and it's there's no other word to call it, but it's the fuckery that is coming out of some of these manufacturers. And when I say that, it's 2 things. And I want to quickly call out Topps, because at least they're trying to make it right, and they're putting out announcements. We've seen recently that some autos came out on cards that clearly weren't player autos, and then even more recently you had them missing a bunch of silver parallels in their last box. But I'm seeing all over social media, they issued these silver packs, which logistically are a bit of a headache.
Yep.
But they issued these silver packs to make up for the blunder, and now these silver packs are loaded with unredeemed redemptions, and you can be pulling, Aaron Judge rookie autos in these silver packs.
Yeah.
So I think the question comes down to is like, how does a massive company that's been doing this for 70 plus years make such blunders? And what could these companies be doing better to like make up for quality, make up for issues?
I think obviously like no sugar and like we have to walk a little line here, but quality control has to get better across the board, right? Like with Upper Deck, and we love all these companies: Upper Deck, Topps, Panini, Fanatics, right? Like cards you shouldn't be getting a card straight out of the pack being 80-20, 70-30 centering.
Sure.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit, man, right? Like if somebody, you can't grade that. You could get the best rookie, whatever parallel, whatever relic, and you're going to get awful centering there. That's bullshit. That's pure quality control has to get better. The hobby's pushing for it, so hopefully these guys are listening, these manufacturers.
So what about this angle? Can we blame the consumer a bit too? Because we're still buying.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very good
Like
point.
we're still like how many fuck ups before we say, hey, like enough is enough.
Yeah.
Like Panini redemptions. There was so much like they've just been sending out random redemptions to people. What does that do? Nothing. Like we're still buying the hobby boxes. We're still looking for redemptions.
It's very true.
So it's like, why as a business, if you're killing it, why are you gonna all of a sudden change?
Yep.
It's very true.
People are still buying.
People are still buying, and I think like it's like at what point do you like go on strike as a consumer, right? But the desire, the demand is still so incredibly high.
You can't bank on that. That's not going to happen. Or maybe not.
Maybe not. But listen, we just said this recently today, is that the consumer's getting smarter, right? So when we talk about the consumer getting smarter, I think a lot of it, you could see present day what's happening to, for example, retail prices on retail product. So let's go back in time 12 months. Getting your hands on a blaster was next to impossible. Getting your hands on a hanger, any retail product, the Walmart price was immediately wiped out of the industry, and you were paying double Walmart, triple Walmart prices to get your hands on a blaster, right? And now that we see, people are getting smarter, nobody's interested in the base stuff anymore. Now the retail prices are coming back to truly retail. You can get a blaster for retail price.
Because the prices inside those boxes are,
Calm down.
right?
That's what dictated the price was what's the potential.
But these prices are still very high at Walmart.
I agree.
Right? They're still very high at the actual retail level, right? So,
even if you buy a blaster at retail price and you rip that blaster open, and even if you hit, let's say, the Trey Lance or the LaMelo Ball or the Kate Cunningham or whatever it is, that base card is worth fractions of what you paid for the blaster. So even when you get the card you quote unquote are chasing, it's really hard to pay off. And specifically with football and basketball, that translates to hobby as well. Which is, so when we talk about the consumer still doing it, I wonder sometimes, and listen, we own a sports shop, and obviously, there's many different elements to our business. One of them is selling hobby boxes. And I think most people that buy hobby understand the risk that they're taking. But it saddens me when I see people rip open a box, get a pretty decent card, and it's still not redeeming the value of the box.
I think, and look, it's a gamble. Everything's a gamble.
Of course, yeah.
And we all know that, and everybody should understand that and know that it's a form of gambling. Breaking and opening boxes.
It's a form of gambling with levels.
Yeah, exactly. But, this kind of not having a card come out and being worth what the box is, even if it's the hit, I think has a little to do with the market fluctuating so much right now, right? Like nobody knows where it's at or where it will be, and some people say it's a dip, some people say it's correcting, right? So it's kind of in the middle of everything right now, where what is the correct price, right? Like what is the correct price on a hobby box? What is the correct price on the retail boxes? What's the correct price on that hit that's coming out in that card? So that's where it's the tricky part, right? Because the price on a hobby box, there's a trickle-down effect. A hobby shop just doesn't make up a price, right?
Sure.
Panini sells it to a distributor sells it to a hobby shop has to sell it to the consumer, right? And there's a funnel. The actual card that comes out of there's a lot less funnels. It's hobby,
This is the box.
This is the box, this is the card, eBay.
Yeah.
So a lot less hands are being changed initially for the original comp. So that's where it's the...
I think also part of the draw for the consumer with certain products is that despite the fact that you have, let's say, decent cards coming out of boxes and not being, the value that you want them to be, the idea of the ability to hit like a massive home run, and I use like the Herbie black vinyl that just got pulled maybe last month or 2 months ago that sold at auction for $1.2 million. So that idea, that sort of like, fairy tale dream that some consumers like still want to believe in is that, hey, I'm going to buy into this group break, which is what happened with that Justin Herbert, right? That guy bought a $170 spot in a group break. That box opened up and hit that Herbie 1/1 black vinyl that ended up selling for $1.2 million.
Nice ROI.
Yeah.
So when you think about the return on that, that is like, and so that still exists. So I think the issue is that you have these like this massive bottleneck of you have these like very, very ultra rare cards that are going to get you crazy money. And then you have everything else kind of living in the middle or the low where sure, you hit a Trey Lance, Prism rookie auto, huge card you would think. But like when you really look at it, it's, not that massive. It's maybe the value of the box and it's a rare card to hit in that box. Yeah. Whereas you could also hit a Trey Lance gold vinyl rookie auto, and now this card is like 6 figures. So I think part of the thing that I would love to see potentially manufacturers do is like spread the wealth a little bit better. Like maybe come up with like different cards and different parallels and different inserts that become a little bit more rare and become a little bit more valuable. But so you don't just have that one card that's like that $1 million card everybody's chasing, but spread it around a little bit.
Can you do like a retail gold set? So like you can only get like this gold set from retail product to 10, and then you can do the hobby exclusive.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Problem is sometimes, once there's too many exclusive, too many...
It already is
parallels,
there.
That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. That already happened. People freak out. You're diluting. This guy's got 400 different rookie cards compared to a vintage guy who had 15, right? So people already complain about that.
Mac Jones has more than 80 different one-of-one NFL Shield cards.
There you go. He hasn't worn that. He hasn't played that many games and worn that many jerseys.
So it's already diluted as hell.
I've heard that they make him change jerseys every quarter so that they
for
can,
the next Panini round.
For the next Panini NFL Shield.
Yeah.
But I think that David brings up a really good idea. I think the manufacturers should actually consider doing retail exclusive true rare inserts, not like a variation red wave, but
give us a real reason.
Give us a real reason to rip retail for sure.
Well, what was the box? Retail had nothing. Was it Prism? The most recent wax that came out?
Well, yeah, the Prism NBA. It just had the cracked, no autos.
No
they took autos out of
everything
out of the
nothing.
blasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another reason to rip hobby, right? But
it's expensive.
Very.
It's the chance, right? People just like the chance. It's the same thing of going every Thursday to the gas station and getting a Lotto Max on Friday.
Exactly.
It's literally the same thing.
Sure.
I'm hoping that I can hit.
Odds are better with sports cards than Lotto Max.
It's like buying a single individual card. You're buying it in the hopes of he's going to play great, he's going to have a great career, and it's going to be worth something in the future.
It's another form of sports gambling, right? Like, there's a huge fun part
It's
of
a stock
it, right?
market.
And you want to make sure, like, with every type of gambling, you want to make sure you're having fun.
Yes.
It's crazy to think because the problem is if you're having a lot of fun at a blackjack table, something's wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if you're winning,
but I'm trying to word this correctly. But it's still a hobby. It's still a collectible. But you're also gambling, right? It's kind of like fantasy sports. You're having fun. You're most likely gambling on it, right? Sports gambling.
But you're in control.
You're in control. Daily fantasy. Yeah, absolutely. You do have more control. You can't control
it's
if this
skill.
guy's
You
gonna
could
get-
say there's skill involved, right?
Yeah. You can't control if somebody's going to get injured or not. But
sure.
That's why you invest
But
in
it's not.
Charizard.
Yeah, you're not.
Charizard,
Charizard can get injured. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so when we talk about singles and investing, this is a conversation David and I had recently about a customer that came into the shop that bought some big singles off of us. Is that so? Some customers will come in and if they're new customers, we'll always try to ask them, hey, how'd you hear about us? And hey, how'd you get into the hobby and whatnot? And this most recent customer was a very interesting story, and that he said to us, well, my kid is like a big Pokemon guy, and I've always watched him do his Pokemon thing, and it's very fascinating to me. And I'm a big sports guy, and he's obviously a grown man. Not to say that grown men can't collect Pokemon. Shout out JP. But he came in and he's like, yeah, he just looked through our display and he picked some players that he was really into or really liked, and he's like, I'm just gonna buy these cards and tuck them away, and then maybe in 10 or so he's not a collector, but he recognizes the alternative asset class that sports cards could be. His son kind of exposed him to the idea of cardboard pictures having value, and he came in, spent a few grand on sports cards, and he's just gonna tuck them away, and he'll probably come back and rinse and repeat that process. So I think there is this emerging subsect of customer collector that looks at it solely as build a portfolio, tuck it away, hand it down to kids, or see what happens.
Have some stocks, have some crypto, have some sports cards, right?
It's a physical asset too.
It's a physical
I think that's what attracts a lot of people is the fact that if I want to go look at it at night and see, I can grab it.
People like to,
I do that.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the
Right?
time.
Like, oh man, I can't believe I have this card. It's
All
so
the time.
cool, right? Like, that's the fun in it too. It's physical. You could look at it. You could, it's
You can explain the story to someone if they ask, what is this? Why do you
How'd
have?
you get it?
Yeah.
Totally. I wanted us to talk about group breaks and how we actually struggle and the incentive to move breaks.
You want to talk about
Yeah, I do. I think it's
I don't know.
I don't know about the struggle, but I think we can talk about how we're always trying to put together creative breaks, and we're always trying to mix things up and always trying to give value back to the customer while still maintaining an element of profit.
Yeah, listen, group breaks are a big part of the business. Our business, but the hobby's business, the hobby's growth in general, right? So group breaks have become a lot more difficult in general for us and, across the board. But wax still has to be ripped. Wax still has to be opened up so that singles happen. And there's a lot of shitty parts of group breaks in general, right? Like, we do not mark up the prices on our group breaks. Whatever the boxes are, we add them up.
Yeah,
we
split it evenly.
And that was kind of a big issue in the group break industry. There's that huge extra 30% markup or whatever what people would do. We do not do that. We try to mix the price points on group breaks. We try to have retail. We try to have hobby. Hobby obviously being a little bit more expensive. Retail being on the cheaper end. We try to do it all. We try to do different years. We do multi-sport. We try to have fun with group breaks because at the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be a fun communal thing, right? Like,
it's an entertaining service.
It's an entertaining service. Everyone, it's not just you opening a box. It's you and 9 other people, you and 30 other people opening up this box. So
there's an audience for it.
There's an audience for it. Once again, the chase to hit the big card for $100.
That's it.
That's
100 to 1.2 million.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
you
goal.
go. That's the allure, right? And are you gonna hit every time? No, you're not. You're probably gonna whiff most of the time, right? Like, you're probably not gonna hit a big card.
Cut that.
But that's the allure. That's the allure of.
But I think the reason that our group breaks have just become a consistent Sunday event, right? Like, I remember recently was a long weekend. We decided to shut down one Sunday, and it was the first time we shut down in 2 years.
And everybody's messaging us.
Everybody's messaging. What's going on with group breaks? Where are the
It's
group
not
breaks?
posted. It's Thursday.
Not posted. Yeah. But I think the reason is that it has, you guys both touched on it. It's become this community thing. It's basically, everyone has long weeks, families, jobs, everything else we do in life. But that Sunday night sort of 2-3 hour window, the Relikks squad all gets together. We're all shooting the shit on a Sunday night. Maybe there's some sports on. Everyone's sort of active in the chat. I feel like we have a very active chat amongst, hobby shops.
Literally coming off of what you're saying, this past Wednesday, we did our live. I'm not going to say the name. They might not want to mention the other thing. But they came into the chat at the end of the night. It was probably 10:30. Hey, sorry, I'm on a work trip. Haven't been able to watch the live, but I just wanted to say hi to the squad. That's it. Left. Just
Crazy.
came, saw the live, said hi to everybody, and left.
Yeah. And a lot of these people have never met each other.
No.
They don't really know
But
each
they
other.
all talk to each other.
They all talk to each other.
Yo,
in
what
live.
up, Bob? What up, Dan? I hope all.
Why
is
didn't
well.
you bid on that card?
Yeah.
And we've had people, in the shop and in our lives, but in the lives, they'll be like, "Oh my God, I used to work with you 10 years ago."
Really?
You into cards? Yeah, I remember. I don't want to mention the people as well, but the guy's like, "Oh my God, okay, DM me." So they took it obviously out of the chat, but he's like, "Yeah, I worked with you for 10 years ago." So that was cool, and this happens in the shop all the time. Just last week,
A lot of parents.
there was 2 adults. I'm digressing here, but two people, 40 years old, hadn't seen each other since high school. Over
Just
20
randomly
years.
walked into
They're
Both
kids.
with their kids.
We're in the shop.
Both with their kids. Hugged, kissed, right?
Crazy.
They were like, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you." And they were both in awe. They're like, insane that they were bumping into each other. And standing there, it was like, this is amazing. That, this was a place that people bumped into each other after 20 years, right? So that was super cool. But happens in the live as well.
Okay, thanks, guys. I think that was very, very...
Episode 1-ish.
Episode 1-ish. Some rough spots,
Yeah.
so definitely stuff we can correct. But
Yeah.
I like the idea of a true natural riff. I like the idea that this truly wasn't scripted. There was no real agenda. We all got into a room together, and this is something we naturally do all the time.
Always.
Now we're actually capturing it and getting it on air.
These are the weekly management calls we have as it is, and now you're on our management calls. Right?
Providing
So
it to the masses.
That's it. We talk about some other stuff like numbers, but we always just catch each other up on the industry and our thoughts.
And thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys. Cheers.
I've been focused on these dreams like I didn't sleep today.